Ladies and gentlemen, I want to welcome you to this Thursday evening training from wherever you are. We are going to have a very exciting time. It's very, very cold here in Pretoria, but I'm sure after this meeting, we'll all have very warm hearts and go and share our business to the rest of the world. I would like to invite our first speaker. She is my wife, my girlfriend, the founder of our business, and she's going to take us through the session of cancer care. I'm sure most of you, if not all of you, at least know somebody who has had cancer, or a relative or a friend or somebody in the home. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome Betty to take us a session on cancer care. You need to unmute. It's not unmuted yet.
Is that, am I audible?
Yeah, now it's audible.
Okay, thank you everyone for joining us this Thursday evening. And it was a delight to hear that intro from Pascal. Thank you very much, Pascal. And let me also welcome you for our training this evening. It has been a while since we had training together, and I'm happy that we are back on today. And as you'll have heard from Pascal and also in your invitation, today I was going to share about cancer support. And I think, as Pascal also mentioned, most of us have come across or have had experience with a friend, a family member, people that we know going through this illness. And it is an illness that tends to strike fear in our hearts. And it is with good cause, because it is an illness that is not easily cured. There is much research that is being done to try to cast more light into it. And I'm sure that you know that our scientific advisory board is always at the forefront of trying to find out the best ways in which our products can help to support people who have this illness or who are trying to be proactive and to prevent it. So as we get into this, the first thing I wanted to mention is that any cell in anyone's body is potentially cancerous and can become a cancer if it is exposed to a chronic trigger. So that should not make us fearful, but just make us understand that from what is known now is that any cell is potentially cancerous, but the cancer has a trigger, and the trigger has to be chronic. So it's not that in most cases, it's not that one single exposure is going to lead us to have cancer. But if we have a chronic exposure to the trigger, which are normally called carcinogens, then we may find that we actually trigger the cancer that is lying latent within us. So with that bit of information, I think our next point of interest would be, what are the triggers? And there are many unknown triggers. However, there are a few which are well known. The first and best known and best researched is nicotine from tobacco smoking. So we know that by smoking cigarettes, tobacco cigarettes, we inhale the chemical which is nicotine, and this has been well established to be a carcinogen. A second item that has been identified as a trigger is obesity, or what is today being referred to as metabolic syndrome. Metabolic syndrome refers to a group of symptoms that show that our metabolism is not working well. And the symptom of this is that we grow quite overweight and tend to have a very large belly in excess of 100 centimeters in the case of men and 90 centimeters in the case of women. So that is one of the symptoms when we start gaining weight around the waistline, because that weight is going to be covering and smothering some of our very important organs that are in our abdomen. So obesity has also been established as one of the triggers of cancer. And also remember that obesity is often related to quite a number of unhealthy lifestyle choices. And so there is a link there. Then the third triggers that have been identified is certain disease-causing microbes. And these ones may not directly cause cancer, but they are associated with increasing our risk of certain cancers. So that their presence in our bodies may not be causing us a great deal of sickness, but that presence can be what acts as a trigger that is linked to certain cancers. So there are a number of them, but I'll just give 3 examples. The first one is the herpes virus, which has been linked to cervical cancer. And then hepatitis B and C viruses have also been linked to liver cancer. And then the bacterium H. pylori has been linked to stomach cancer. So H. pylori is a bacterium that is also linked to stomach ulcers. And from there, it has also been found to increase the risk of stomach cancers. So apart from the pathogen, a fourth trigger is certain chemicals. If I can give the example of asbestos fibers, maybe some of you who are younger may not be aware of this because this substance is no longer in use. But the older people will remember that there was a time when asbestos was being used for roofing and piping and so on. So the fibers of this asbestos, when inhaled, can trigger off, especially for a prolonged period, can trigger off lung cancer. Then other chemicals are alcohol, especially prolonged heavy usage of alcohol, as well as the frequent ingestion of processed meats. So processed meats will be all those meats that have been packaged and processed. They look a little different from the normal meat. So you'll have things like polonies and salamis and these types of things. We should limit the ingestion of them because they are the chemicals that are used in processing them increase our risk of cancer. Then the last one I'll mention as a trigger is radiation exposure. So if we are exposed to certain kinds of radiation, it can also act as a trigger of cancer in our bodies. So a chronic trigger is a problem for a specific reason. When we have a chronic trigger, and remember I say that a single exposure is not a chronic trigger. A chronic trigger means repeated exposures. And what it does is that it leads to an accumulation of byproducts of cellular activities, which normally will here also being referred to as oxidative stress. So oxidative stress is a term that is used to refer to the accumulation of the byproducts of the activities of our cells. And when they accumulate, and it means that we are not able, our bodies are not able to detoxify from them adequately. So when they accumulate, they cause a damage because of course they are byproducts. So it means that they are kind of poisonous or toxic to our systems. So their toxicity leads to damage to our cells and especially to the DNA. So this accumulation of byproducts will lead to a damage to our DNA. And I just want to branch off a bit to say that remember one of our baseline supplements, which is TREANN, is very important because of this very reason. I always say that even if I don't mention in our product recommendation that we should have TREANN, TREANN is always a good supplement to have in our recommendation because of its ability to help our cells to function better and to detoxify as well as to absorb useful nutrients. So when our cells are overwhelmed with accumulation of the byproducts, then it leads to a damage to the cell as well as the DNA. When the DNA is damaged, then remember that the DNA carries the information and the instructions for the cells and the way they should behave. When the DNA is damaged as a result of these chronic triggers, then the cell is going to start malfunctioning because there is a damage to its instruction. It's as if you have got a faulty instruction manual. Then, of course, problems are going to result. So the way in which the malfunctioning can manifest itself is that the cell stops obeying the instructions on how and when to multiply. So the cells will begin multiplying very vigorously, disobeying the normal instructions, which would be telling them when to multiply and when not to multiply. And this will result in abnormal growths, which we normally refer to as tumors. When the tumor is cancerous, it is described as malignant. Sometimes you may have a growth which is not cancerous and is referred to as benign. So as you can see, there's that link there that the DNA is damaged, which means the instructions manual for our cell is damaged. And as a result of bad instruction, the cell starts multiplying abnormally, leading to abnormal growths. So turning to ourselves as neolife distributors, it is important that we realize that by the time the cancer has been diagnosed, we are already in serious trouble. So our best approach is to educate those in our sphere of influence about the importance of making healthy lifestyle choices and also being proactive in making these choices so as to prevent rather than to treat. As always, you know, our supplements are best as a means of preventing the trouble because they work with our body to maintain health. And the thing I also wanted to mention is that this proliferation of cancers that we are noticing today, that almost everybody knows someone or many people who have cancer or who have died from cancer, has not been the case for a long time. In fact, as early as 1950s, it was thought that we Africans were immune to certain types of cancer because they did not appear among us, which means that this increase in the appearance of cancer in our midst is linked to certain changes in our diet and in our cultural behavior. The good thing about, of course, that is not good news, but the good thing about it is that it means that we can change and adjust our lifestyle so that we go back to what we used to be, which is that we had less of the appearance of these cancers. Because I think it's quite distressing that apart from cancer, there are so many other illnesses which have appeared of late and are now quickly becoming epidemics. So the next point I want to bring up is that as distributors, we have to be faithful, and we have to be truthful about our products so that we do not mislead people that we can cure or we can do things which we are not able to do. So we give correct and truthful information about what our products would be able to do. And when our products are not able to help, it is best that we actually do not raise false hopes to people. Because as I've mentioned, this is a very frightening illness, and we should be very prudent when we are dealing with our clients who come to us for help. So we need to, first of all, to educate, and I'll repeat a few points which I had made before. We need to get informed about triggers and to avoid them. So I've mentioned a few triggers, of which I mentioned nicotine, I mentioned pollutants, and junk food in our diet. So these can act as triggers, because remember, the fact that each of our cells is capable of becoming cancerous does not mean that we are doomed to get cancer. It just means that if we are not careful about prevention, and if we chronically expose ourselves to the risky substances, then we can actually trigger the cancer that was latent. Then the second thing is that as much as possible, we should opt for healthy dietary choices. This is a point we are always making in our training. So we choose from good proteins, wild caught fish, traditional meats, and non-processed meats. We also avoid overly processed carbohydrates and make better carbohydrate choices. which are minimally processed. And then we also recommend things like plenty of vegetables, whether we eat them fresh or cooked. We try to minimize very sweet fruits, because some of the fruits have now been they have been hybridized to become very, very sweet, which means they tend to be not too good for us, especially if we have got already metabolic problems. Then we also recommend good fats, for example, those you find in a highly recommended fruit like avocado, and things like olives and coconuts. These ones provide us with good fats, as well as nuts. And then, of course, we also would want to eliminate or severely limit harmful items. For example, sugar. Refined sugar is now considered a harmful item, as well as factory fats, which are being linked more and more to lifestyle-related illnesses. So those are some of the points that we can bring up as we educate those around us about avoiding triggers to illnesses, including cancer, but also other lifestyle-related illnesses. Then turning my attention now to our Neolife supplements that we can recommend in our cancer support products. The first and the best is, of course, PhytoDefense, which is a preparation of 3 different types of products. We have carotenoid complex, we have flavonoid complex, and we have cruciferous plus. This powerful trio is plant-based, and it has phytonutrients and antioxidants, which help our bodies to fight against any possible problems that are starting to develop that could lead to cancer. And the way in which they work is, number one, they will neutralize cancer triggers. So if we have been exposed to triggers, these phytonutrients that are found in PhytoDefense help to neutralize the triggers themselves. Of course, this does not imply that we should now expose ourselves to triggers. It just means that we have got a means to help us to fight against the effects of the carcinogens. Then the next way in which they work is to neutralize the harmful byproducts that may be accumulating in our cells. Once they neutralize them, then of course they reduce the accumulation and help our bodies to detox from these byproducts, which I had already mentioned, can lead to damage to our DNA, which then leads to abnormal growths. Then the third one is that these phytonutrients also help to heal damaged cells and damaged DNA. So by working in this 3-pronged approach, the PhytoDefense supplements are going to help our bodies to work so that our body becomes inhospitable to the growth of cancer. So this is one of the best products that we can recommend for this, but it is not the only one. We also would recommend omega-3 salmon oil, which helps, as we well know, because we repeat it very often, it helps in reducing inflammation, systemic inflammation within our body. We know that inflammation is an important part of our body's immunity, but when it becomes excessive and chronic and systemic, then it can cause problems. Omega-3 salmon oil will also help our bodies to reduce oxidative stress. That is that accumulation of the cellular byproducts. It has been shown to be beneficial if someone is undergoing treatment for cancer. By using omega-3 salmon oil, it has been shown that there is a positive response to the cancer treatment, and it also reduces the reaction that the body will have against the chemo that is used for treating cancer. So that is omega-3 salmon oil, which is our second recommendation. And then our third recommendation is going to be garlic allium complex, which is useful in cellular repair. And also it slows down the growth of tumors. If there are tumors starting to grow, then garlic allium complex helps in slowing down their growth. And by slowing down the growth of a tumor, of course, it gives our body the opportunity to fight against these growths and eliminate them. So if cancer has already been diagnosed, our products can still be used to support the body in its fight against it. Remember, our bodies are always working very hard to remain healthy. And so we should not give up even when there has been a diagnosis. We should supply the body with everything that it needs to combat, and in the hope that together with the treatment, we are going to be able to win this battle against this fearsome illness. Then looking at another point is that during chemo, when we have got someone who has already been diagnosed and is undergoing treatment with chemotherapy, we'll recommend that they have a protein-rich diet. And in this case, we'll recommend Neolife Shake. If they have just to mention, sometimes when people are being treated with chemotherapy, they may have sores in their mouths, which makes eating difficult. So the Neolife Shake is going to be useful at providing them with a protein source, which does not require a lot of chewing. And so we can make a smoothie using the NutriShake, or if the person is not having a big problem with sores, some pieces of fruit can also be added to the NutriShake so as to supply them with a rich meal, which is easy to take and which is going to supply them with the nutrients that they require in addition to the protein from the Neolife Shake. Then Aloe Vera Plus will also help during chemotherapy to soothe the system and to reduce nausea, which is also usually associated with people undergoing chemotherapy. Then once chemo has been completed, once the person has had their chemotherapy treatment and finished it, we then recommend Beta-Gut to assist in detoxing the body from chemotherapy, the chemotherapy drugs. Probably you'll be aware that the chemotherapy drugs work by killing the cancer. Unfortunately, they may kill some of the healthy cells as well. So it is important to help the body to detox from the chemotherapy drugs. And that is why we only recommend the Beta-Gut after the chemo has done its work. And maybe you are aware that the person who formulated Beta-Gut for the Neolife company is Dr. Arthur Fast, who was a researcher that was specifically looking for ways to help the body recover from chemotherapy. And he put together this marvelous product, Beta-Gut, whose work is to help with detox. Then we also recommend CalMag or magnesium to help to repair any nerve damage that might have resulted from chemotherapy. So you may find some of the people complaining of having episodes of a lot of pain and numbness or tingling, which is the result of some nerve damage that can result from chemotherapy. And CalMag or magnesium as a standalone supplement, the magnesium complex, can help the body to heal this nerve damage that causes pain. Then, once all the treatment has been done, the cancer sufferer can continue using phytodefense and omega-3 salmon oil as a long-term supplement, just in order to mitigate against a recurrence of the cancer. Because of course, we know that it's very distressful that sometimes the cancer does come back. And so we need to create the awareness that they should not abandon supplementing with phytodefense and omega-3 salmon oil even after they have been given a clean bill. In addition to that, they should continue to make those healthy choices and avoid any triggers that might reactivate the cancer. And also, we would recommend that they incorporate things like exercise and stress resolution to help them to maintain the state of the cancer-free state. So that is what I wanted to share with you about cancer support. Of course, there's much more information as always, and my sessions are usually with the aim of starting you on the path of getting better informed about these topics that we talk about. Then with a few minutes remaining, I wanted to mention what we can do about some of the microbes that increase our risk of developing cancer. You'll remember in the beginning, I mentioned certain microbes, of which one was hepatitis B and C. So these are caused by viruses. The virus itself may not, the illness itself may not show a very strong illness in us, but the presence of those viruses can actually make increase our risk of developing a cancer. And for that reason, we should try to get rid of them. So with hepatitis B, it is important to visit the doctor so that we get antiviral medication. In addition to that, we should help our liver to be healthy by eliminating foods like alcohol and refined sugar, which usually put a high stress on our liver. And if already we are having hepatitis B or C infection, our liver already has got challenges to deal with. So we should not add things like alcohol, especially excessive use of it, and excessive use of sugar. We should limit or eliminate, better still to eliminate them altogether. Then to deal with hepatitis B, which can become chronic, we should commit to a long-term use of Betagard, Cruciferous Plus, and chelated zinc. Then the other pathogen that I mentioned is H. pylori, which is a bacterium that can be found in the stomach and causes stomach ulcers. It is one of the microbes that increases the risk of stomach cancers. So therefore, we need to deal with it. First of all, by a visit to the doctor so that he can prescribe the appropriate antibiotic to kill the bacterium. But in addition to that, because ulcers do tend to recur, the recurrence can be as a result of some poor lifestyle habits, which we should address. So for example, we should try to eat a healthy diet, avoid processed meats, which are also linked to problems in the gut. And in addition to that, we can recommend supplements that help to heal and restore the integrity of the gut, which has been ulcerated. So the gut which has had ulcers needs to heal and become less damaged. And this, of course, will not take a short time, depending, of course, on how badly the ulcers had affected the gut. So for that, we'll recommend garlic allium complex, which also works against microbes and friendly microbes that might be in our gut. We'll also recommend chelated zinc, which helps in the healing of the gut. If you have it in your market, we'll also recommend Acidophilus Plus. And we'll recommend vitamin C, and aloe vera plus will also help, especially when the ulcer is still active. It helps to soothe the gut. So I see that my half hour is over. I want to thank you very much for the time that you have afforded me. I hope that the session has been useful in informing you, but as I said, especially in starting you on the process of becoming better informed about this particular topic, and with all the topics that we normally discuss. We can always get better informed because we now live in the age of information. A lot of this information is available if we want to find out more, so that we can help ourselves, help our families, and help all those in our circle of influence. So thank you very much. And I think I will now hand you over to Pascal, who is going to take you through the next session. And I hope that the month of August is going to be one in which you are able to make and reach your goals with great effectiveness. Thank you very much. And here is Pascal now to take you to the next session.
Thank you very much, Betty. I think that was really wonderful information. For all those who have got customers to support, relatives, friends who may be having a challenge with the cancer. So now, one of the keys to building wealth is solving problems. That is one of the keys to building considerable amount of wealth. So I'm going to go through a session called income producing activities. Those are the activities that you get involved in to make sure that your customers get the products and they also get the right information about not only the products, but about the business model that we use. So without further ado, I'm going to share the screen with you. All right, so what we want to discuss now is income producing activities. What are those things we do to make our business grow? If you give me a moment, I want to share this. All right. So what are income producing activities? Income producing activities are the things we do to grow our business. And the reason why we need to really master and get these things in our mind, in our hearts, and in our activity is because they are the basis of building a successful neolife business. There are basically three things we do to grow our business. One is using the products. If we don't use the products, our business won't grow. It's a very simple thing. Two is retailing products. That simply means we recommend products to people who are not in the business, and we retail products to them specifically to help them solve their problems. Number three is prospecting and inviting people to look at the business model so that we can grow our business. Let's start with using the products. Let's go back a bit. Using the products. One of the first things we do when you start this business, whichever market you are in, products always accompany the business kit. For example, you've got a 3NN kit, you get two 3NN bottles of 60 capsules each. If you've got a healthy home, kit, you have ProVitality cleaning products. If you've got a ProVitality kit, you get a ProVitality kit. So the first thing you need to do is use the products. There are a number of reasons for the need to use the products. Number one is so that you can experience the products yourself and you can talk to your customers about your own experience. There's nothing that sells products like your own personal experience. I remember when Betty and I started the business, our business kit had LDC, had Super 10, had Formula 4, had aloe vera gel, I think a NutriShake. So it was a very well nicely packaged kit. And we started by using the products ourselves. And out of our own experience, we discovered the benefit of using the products. I remember, in fact, when we started and we were using LDC, we replaced 5 other different products from the retail shops or supermarket that we were using in our house that we didn't need to use. We just replaced them with LDC. So the first thing about is using the product. The other reason why you need to use the products is the people you speak to want to know that you actually use and love what you are recommending to them. And the last thing is you're supporting your business. Remember, whether you join this business or not, at the end of the month, you go and buy soap. You go and buy supplements. You go and buy skincare products, different things that you need to buy anyway. So what we are saying is this: when you start the business, support your own redirect where you're spending your money and spend money in your business. It's a very simple idea, okay? That's using the product. The second thing we need to do is retailing products. You know, I have met very many people in our business who say that they're not good in selling. But what they don't realize is that every single day they are selling something. Either they are selling an idea, they are selling their services, they are selling a product. I mean, those of you who are attending this presentation and you're married, you successfully sold yourself to your spouse and they bought you as a person. Okay? So it's important to understand that we are selling something every day. You're selling an idea. For example, you're trying to convince your boss to do an activity in a different way. We are always selling something to somebody on a daily basis. All right. So what are the two important things to know how to retail products to customers? The first one is you need to have product knowledge. All right. I think Betty has done a fantastic session there on the cancer care, that if you're taking notes, you would find that there are very, very many people who actually need our products. We just need to go to the next thing, which is listening. When you have product knowledge, it's easy to recommend products to people because you link our products and the needs they have. Listening is a skill that you can develop, and the more you develop the skill of listening, the more you're going to help people solve their problems and the more money you're going to make. Okay, so three things about retailing products. You need to have product knowledge and then listen to your customers' needs. Sometimes you need to be listening for what they're actually not saying. How do you do that? Watch for body language, watch for facial expressions, look at them. How does their skin look? Is their energy level low? Is their energy level high? Just by watching and observing them, you're going to pick up something about them that they haven't actually verbalized. So listen carefully to what they're saying and also what they are not saying. And then number three, you need to have good customer relationships. It's very important to have good relationship with your customer, because when a customer wants to buy, their method of decision making is always built on how they felt when they spent money the last time. If you give them excellent customer service, guess who they're going to think about when they want to spend money in that direction? They're going to think about you. So build good customer relationships. Find out about their families, find out about their birth dates, find out information about them that you can actually link to your discussion. And even when you're not selling them the product, send them a note, find out how they're doing. During their birthday, send them a birthday wish. That improves the relationship with your customers. Now, to go briefly through some of the things I would recommend, if you want to build a good customer base, number one, the home care, every single home need a cleaning product. Every single home. Okay? And sometimes we easily neglect selling our cleaning products. LDC is a multi-purpose light-duty cleaner. We use it in our home for washing dishes, for cleaning the bathroom. We use it. I use it to wash my car. I use it to shave. I use it to shower. We use it to wash the floor. All these things, LDC can be used. Super 10 is used for heavy-duty cleaning. When you have a stain or you have something that is very difficult to remove the stain, use LDC. Okay, LDC is mixed 1 to 10. Sorry, my apologies. Super 10 is mixed 1 to 10. LDC is mixed 1 to 5. And then if you want something for disinfectant, use Care Solution. Then going to the health products. In South Africa, there are about 3 million people with diabetes. The figures in Kenya, I'm not sure, or Tanzania or Nigeria, but I am sure that there are very, very many people in this market who have diabetes because of their eating habits of people in these countries. We eat too much refined carbohydrates, we take a lot of sugar, we don't eat enough fruits and vegetables, and because of our lifestyle, diabetes is on the rise. So if you get just 2 customers with diabetes and you help them to solve their problem, Botanical Balance, Tree and N, very good products for diabetes. High blood pressure, garlic, omega-3, lipotropic agent. Ulcers, aloe vera plus chelated zinc. Arthritis, Calmag, omega-3, and full motion. The prostate challenge, Cruciferous plus. So if you have knowledge of these products and you listen to people, it is quite easy for you to start developing a very good customer base. All right? And then what is the next thing? The next thing is building the business. So Step number one, the first income producing activities is using the products yourself. Number two, when you use the products you save, and you also you are generating bonus for yourself. If you retail products, you're getting PV, which you're going to be paid for at the end of the month. You're getting retail profit from your customers. The third income producing activities, which I would recommend you spend 80% of your effort, is prospecting to build a team. What does that mean? That you're going to share this idea with different people so that you can use the product and they can also use the product, and you build an organization. Step number one, prospect list. You need to have a prospect list. Yesterday, I was listening to Eric where he said, if you really want to build this business, all of you, most of you, I think, are attending this meeting using your phone. If you tell me you don't know people, go to your contact list. Most people have at least 200 or 300 people on the contact list. Take a pen, write and a notebook, write down everybody in your contact list from your phone. Whether you've told them before about the business and said no, whether you like them or not, whether they're irritating to you, whether, as long as they're on your list, write their names from their contact list on the phone. Speak to your relatives. If you've got a family, ask your family members, please give me names of 5 people you know. I want to speak to them about the business. The idea is to write a long list, a very long list. You may not speak to everybody, but at least write the names on the list and then share the business with them. I have found that one of the most effective ways to share the business is to ask a qualifying question. That takes me to step number 2, inviting. Inviting simply means you get to know somebody, ask them the question, the leading qualifying question. After you've known them for a while, say, by the way, I'm running a business. Would you open to look at a way to generate additional income? If the answer is yes, if you're not with them, tell them, okay, I'm going to send you a short presentation that introduces the idea. If I send to you now, will you watch it? Use that language. If I, would you? If I, would you? If I send you this presentation, would you watch it? When do you think you can watch it? So if I call you tomorrow at this time, you'll have watched it. You need to ask them to commit to watching it at least 3 times. The first is, if I send you this presentation, would you watch it? That's the first time. The next is, so if I send you this presentation, you'll have watched it by, let me say, 8 o'clock. Then you ask them, okay, so 8 o'clock tomorrow, I'm going to call you to discuss what you think about the business. Okay, that is inviting. Once you've invited the person, the next thing is showing the plan. There are various ways to show the plan. The first one is one-on-one, or you invite them for a Zoom presentation, for example, the one your leaders organize, or the ones we have every Monday, or you go for a physical meeting where somebody who is experienced explain the business idea. So showing the plan is very important. Once you've shown the plan, if you have a physical meeting, you need to ask your prospect to make a decision. 4 questions. First question, did the business make sense? Okay. Next question, what did you like most about the business? Is it the products or the business, or a little bit of both? Third question, you see yourself getting, okay, the first 2 questions, if they say yes, then you go to the next question. For example, if you ask the person, did the business make sense? And they said, no, it didn't make sense. Then you exclaim, okay, what part of it did not make sense? Is it the product side or the business model? If they say no, the business model, then you explain what the business model is. A simple idea. We use the products, we recommend it to our friends, but we also build a team to promote the same products. That's a business model. If they say yes, okay, now I understand. Then the next question, what did you like most about the presentation? It's very important not to ask them what they think. Ask them what they liked, because you want to direct their mind for positivity. Okay? And then once you've shown the plan, you need to give it a close. Once they say yes to the first three questions, yes, it made sense. I like the business model. I think I can get involved. Then ask them, okay, when do you want to pay? This is application form. It's very important to ask them to make a decision. If they say they want to think about it, say, okay, what aspect of the business presentation do you want to think about? Okay. If they say, no, well, let me think about it, said, okay, can I call you tomorrow at this time? Once they say they want to think about it, you are the one who needs to direct them when you're going to call. Don't give, if you allow them to say, okay, let me think about it, I'll call you back. Most people don't call back. You're the one who needs to tell them, okay, I will call you this time tomorrow to discuss further how to get for you to get started. That leads to follow-up. Follow-up is very important because most people, the average person doesn't decide to join the business almost 5 or 6 or 7 times watching the presentation before they make a decision. So you need to be patient with them. You need to be patient with yourself. And that means you need to have a funnel or a number of people you're speaking to at any one time, because all of them are not going to decide at the same time. Few may decide very quickly, yes, I want to do the business. Some will decide 3 or 4 times afterward. Some will say 5 times, 6 times. Some will even decide a year after you show them the business. So you need to be patient with yourself and with your prospect. So then the last thing we do is self-care. You need to have personal development. Okay? You can only help others if you are healthy and well. What does that mean? That you need to be physically healthy. 3 things: diet, exercise, and rest. And rest includes sleep. You need to have good health. Your mind needs to be sharp. You need to exercise so that when people see you, your physical health is actually a sales. It's a sales thing. It's what is going to attract people. If you look like this using the products, people say, okay, the products work. But if you feel tired a lot of time, you don't dress well, you haven't rested, people will wonder, this guy is recommending health products, but he doesn't look very well. Okay, so physical health, mental health, resolve matters, pay attention to immediate family, reading good books. This is very important because your thoughts will create habits, and those habits are the ones that lead to success. You need to have business goals, financial goals, have good friends, at least 5 good friends. Okay? And then the last thing I want to share with you is mindset. What is mindset? The mind is a spiritual faculty that uses the brain to function. The brain is a physical element. The mind is a spiritual part. Your brain and your mind are different things. Okay? The mind uses the brain to function. Now, when we talk about a mindset, what do we mean? A mindset simply means the thought patterns that we have that direct our activity and our thought process. So when you talk about a mindset, we are thinking about the thoughts that continuously are dominant in our mind. What I would like to recommend to all of you, me included, is take some time every day and examine your mind, examine your thought patterns. What has been the most dominant thought during the day? It's very easy not to pay attention to your thoughts. It's very easy. But if you want to succeed, you need to pay attention to your thought patterns. What is the dominant thought patterns that you have? That is the first step of having the right mindset. Once you've unveiled, in fact, a very simple way to know what your thought pattern is, look at your activity. Do you always see mistakes in society, in life? Do you always find challenges? Do you always look at problems? That gives you an indication of what your mindset is. Okay, so examine your mind. Number two, if you don't like what you see, if you have a tendency to negativity, then the next thing is to change your mindset. How do you change your mindset? Number one, read good books, because everything you read creates a thought in your mind. And the more you repeat good thoughts, the more good thoughts are imprinted in your mind and your subconscious mind, eventually in your subconscious mind. Three, keep company with good people. Ladies and gentlemen, it is so important to surround yourself with good people, because you will never rise above the 5 people you keep company with. If you want to succeed, look around you, the 5 people you keep company with, what level have they reached? If they're not successful, trust me, you will not rise above them. If you want success, look for 5 people, or 3 or 4 people who already achieved what you want. Just keep company with them. You will find out they're doing things that you are not doing that leads them to success. Okay, so examine your thoughts, read good books, surround yourself with positive people, listen to good tapes, and then deliberately write your goals and read them every day. That creates for you the right mindset to become successful. Write your goals. And something else I would really recommend. In fact, a friend of mine sent me a short video that really made sense to me. Caroline in Italy. She sent me a short video, and this guy asked somebody, if I gave you $1 million now, would you be excited? He said, yeah, I would be very excited. Give me $1 million anytime. Then he asked him the next question. All right, if I give you 2 choices, I give you $1 million and tomorrow you don't wake up, or you have the choice of waking up and you don't get the $1 million. Man said, no, don't give me the $1 million with the condition that I don't wake up. I don't need $1 million when I'm dead. And that simply shows that we don't think carefully about what we value. And one of the greatest things you can develop in your life and your attitude is the attitude of gratitude. Saying thank you for what you have instead of complaining about what you don't have. An attitude of gratitude simply means that you're thankful for what you have, and therefore you're open to receive more. If you're not thankful for what you have, why would you get more? In fact, your mental state is not ready to receive more because you're not even thankful for what you have. So develop an attitude of gratitude. Write at least 10 things that you're grateful for. Read it every day. What I found very useful for me is to actually write those things down daily. I've got a specific notebook. It's called my gratitudes book. I write 10 things, actually 13. I write 13 things that I'm grateful for, both what I have and what I am expecting to receive. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank all of you very much for spending this evening with Betty and myself to share with you our excitement about this business. And I hope some of the things we've shared with you will help you grow your business. Alan, thank you so much for hosting our meeting. As always, we really appreciate, and we hope that August will be our best month in the business. Thank you, good night, and God bless.